लक्षात येईल सगळं.
Good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I want to thank Vice-Chancellor for this great initiative that when we were there in the verandas of San Isidro Villa, we dreamt and thought about it, and they are now real. And also to pay homage to all the people who have worked so hard to make this relation between India and Argentina, between Victoria Ocampo and Gurudev Tagore known, Ms. Dyson's research, the work that Shyam Ganguly has done, and all of the people who were before us working for this to be real. Gurudev wrote 2 years before passing away. Time and again, my mind flies back to that veranda in San Isidro. I still recall quite vividly the exquisite festival of red and blue flowers glittering in the morning sun, and the endless display of colors atop that great river. Those unforgettable days and her tender and compassionate care have been enshrined in my poems. They may be among the best I have ever written. This Gurudev said on 1939, 15 years after he had been there, although he had only once met again Victoria. I would focus on what I called distant lands, close souls, how Gurudev and Victoria shared so many things. Although Tagore had said in Puravi, my readers who will understand these poems will never know whom my Vijaya is, with whom they are associated, fortunately, he was wrong on this. Vijaya came to be well known in Argentina, in the world, and even in India, and especially here in Bengal. She was interested in the universe. She appreciated and thanked the infinite variety of human souls and the circumstance that each of them is unique. She had the courage to live her own life. She devoted herself to the education of her country and the continent, even though she didn't, or perhaps because she didn't accept superstitions that nowadays are said to be important, she was deeply Argentine. What Jorge Luis Borges wrote on Victoria Ocampo could have also referred to Tagore. In fact, he should have referred to him like this, and not in the way we know that sometimes he referred with some silly opinions, because, you know, even great men used to have their failures. One of Victoria's best biographers, Maria Esther Vázquez, entitled her work, Victoria, One Universalist Argentine. And that could also have perfectly fit for Gurudev. It's a clear sign of the common directions their lives shared, lines that crossed one to each other on a spring afternoon of November 1924, as Upacharya has told us. I will focus on the ideals they worked for, the ideas and passions they shared beyond the magnitude of their work in their own countries and the feelings they had one to each other. Due to her contact with Gurudev and her leading role in the cultural life of my country, these values common to Gurudev began to get a place among us. This, along the work with two other great Argentine leading women from the 20th century, Adelina del Carril on the first half of the century, and Ada Albrecht on the second, made India big, well known in Argentina, getting aside all the pseudo-Indian knowledge spread by the occultist circles of the second half of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th. They both devoted their lives, their time and wealth, including all their personal belongings, to make their dreams real for the benefit of their countries. You know, in 1944, once a North American journalist interviewed Victoria and asked him, how much money would you collect from each issue of Sur magazine? Regularly, she answered, all along these 13 years, each volume of Sur magazine has been for me a great loss. But that's nonsense, he answered. Well, you know, the great things are done because of the support of these great men, like Gurudev did here. Along the almost 50 years and 342 volumes appeared on the magazine. You know, as Upacharya stated, she was really inspired by Visva-Bharati Quarterly that Gurudev told her when he was there in 1924. Both Victoria and Rabindranath Tagore tried to give their countries all the treasures they could find worldwide, without losing their own national tradition. In her own words, and I quote, "We are trying to build a bridge among cultures, but a bridge not only one-handed, a bridge that would let South Americans the opportunity to get in touch with the great literary work from the rest of the world." And she did so. In relation to India, her work was superb. She made the work of Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, Lanza del Basto, and through him Vinoba Bhave, Jiddu Krishnamurti, Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi known to the Spanish-speaker readers. On Tagore, of course, she was not alone. We cannot forget Zenobia Camprovi's work that make with Losada Publishing House very well known the works of Tagore in Spanish. But, for example, in the cases of Vinoba Bhave and Pandit Nehru, Sur editions of their books, sold out many decades away, are still the only Spanish translations available for the Spanish-speaking readers. They were both citizens of the world. She would be close to any relevant personality of the culture of Europe, America, and even Asia of her days. The villa where she lived would house the guest artists of her days, and they would stay there creating and sharing their creations, just as Gurudev did here in Shantiniketan. They would both share common artistic passions. First, the theater. Once and again, Victoria said that she wanted to be an actress. But you know, according to the rules of the high Argentine society of that time to which she belonged, a woman being an actress, you know, she wouldn't be very well seen. She would be told a bad girl. She had to resign that vocation. But anyway, she managed to perform, and in 1936, when Stravinsky went to Buenos Aires to put his opera Persephone, there she recited his poems, André Gide's poems, and she even went to perform to Rio and Firenze. Needless to speak about the importance for Gurudev did on theater. You all know about it. I just want to recall when I first went round here Shantiniketan, and Professor Amrit Sen showed me how in the ashram area Gurudev would be ready for play where in every building has a place outside, so that the master could play a play whenever he thought it would be proper. And you also know about, and Upacharya has referred a lot of that Victoria encouraged Gurudev to begin painting. When she saw his doodles he would be doing when correcting the poems, he would say, "Why don't you begin to paint? Do you begin to paint?" And he did so. He was 63, and we have heard almost about his exhibition in Paris due also to Victoria's support. They would both share that courage to say what they had to say, no matter if it was according to what is expected from them. You all know what Gurudev did when he was addressed in 1911 by the Indian National Congress to compose a song to congratulate the king coming, and in request he composed Jana Gana Mana in order to show who is really the true emperor of India. When Victoria in 1951 was awarded for the first time a woman get the National Letters Award, instead of speaking a politically correct speech, she denounced the way that the women had been and were still postponed in their country. They were both neither colonialist nor nationalist. They both believed in what we call today international cooperation and universalism. They fought against sectarian forms of nationalisms, dreaming for their people and their countries a life crowned by happiness and brotherhood. She would be accused, like Gurudev, of being Anglophile, even Francophile, as if the fact that delighting on something valuable would be a sin. They both promoted the dialogue between East and West with mutual respect of their differences. going beyond the Western superiority accepted by many of their contemporaries, or the anti-Western ideas held by the radicals, both in India and Argentina. The international meeting Dialogue of the Cultures, developed by Victoria and the UNESCO at Villa Ocampo in 1977, showed clearly this spirit. They both never lost their faith in humanity and worked hard to win back the lost human heritage. Neither of them was a politician, but they wouldn't avoid their political gestures, although this caused both of them many trouble in their personal lives. Upacharya referred already to the fact that Victoria was imprisoned by General Perón. When she was in jail, another important thing that make both lives have common facts, and I will quote her own words. "I have to thank the time I was in prison because I had at least the satisfaction of being that I was living a real life. I thank you, Lord, for having given me such grace. This being taken from all the things I need to live, and I suffer morally while I was free, now in the end I suffer it materially. I've always wanted the truth above everything, since now